So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that.
You already know what it is. Again, it's your boy Laid Back with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bat. Bah! It's your boy Laid Back. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we got to do. You got to hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. You are the prize in 2025. You are the prize in 2025. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos. We back with another reaction. We got another TikTok compilation. But look, this is going on with the FBI, CIA type. So this might be a little stuff going on in here. You know what I'm saying? So you make it to the end of this one, you a real one for real. Make sure you put that in the comments, man. Also, I'm back on my grind, man. I'm back hearting every comment. We trying to get 1,000 likes. I think the last video we came super close. We should get 1,000 likes on this one, man. Y'all told me to speak life. I've been seeing the comments and I've been reading the comments, and it's me liking it. It's me hearting every comment too. So yeah, we speaking life into this one. 1,000 comments will be on this video. I'm taking y'all advice, man. But look, make sure you hit that like button as well. I also got a TikTok playlist. If you into this stuff, you can binge watch, but proceed with caution. Proceed with caution. Also, share this with the last person you text in your phone, man. You know what I'm saying? Please, I appreciate that. But let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad, what's popping? Let's get it.
If you thought that the Diddy verdict was wild, just listen to what the US government said today. Axios has just obtained a memo where the DOJ and FBI concluded that they have no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed any powerful figures, that they have no evidence that he kept a client list, and they have no evidence he was murdered. To support these statements, they released over 10 hours of footage that they say indicates no one entered the area of Epstein's cell on the night he died. But as you can see, this footage is not from the cameras directly outside his cell. That's because in 2020, the jail revealed that unfortunately, that footage had been permanently destroyed by accident due to technical errors. The memo also adds that investigators found no evidence that could predicate an investigation against currently uncharged third parties, and this is despite in February Pam Bondi being asked if the justice system would release Epstein's client list, to which she responded,
"It's sitting on my desk right now to review."
And then, just to top it off, remember the truckloads of Jeffrey Epstein documents that the FBI promised they were going to release? Well, now the memo says that, quote, no further disclosure of Epstein-related material would be appropriate or warranted. So it looks like that's that. This is where the official story of Jeffrey Epstein seems to end. But the question is, what do you guys think?
Hold on. That sounds crazy. Make sure you do your own research. I know y'all looking like, what happened to the background? It's morning time now, and I just woke up. We was having technical issues last night shooting this, so I'm back this morning, so that's probably why I look a little groggy a little bit. But the work is the work. That was crazy. They say they don't have a list, then they say they do have a list, then they don't have a list. Do your own research.
Confidence, is this something that you're born with, or do you think confidence can be trained into somebody?
I think confidence can absolutely be trained. And I tell you that because coming from Cuba, where we lost everything, arriving as a refugee, having nothing, and then all of a sudden, the FBI asked me to become, and I didn't apply to the FBI. The FBI actually came to me and applied to, and asked me to apply. And then all of a sudden, I said, "Are you guys serious?" It's like, you know, I'm 23 years old. You know, I'm barely learning how to shave. And with no confidence whatsoever, and then you have to, they teach you to be confident. You can teach confidence. And what I tell people is the easiest way to learn confidence is to be confident about one thing. I don't care if it's you stack papers better than anybody else. I don't care if it's the way you make your bed, any small thing. Show me that you're confident. Show me that that's better than anybody else's. And the minute you can be confident about one thing, now you can be confident about two things. And then you can be confident about three things. This nonsense that I see people say, well, just come in and be confident. I think that's nonsense. I think you have to learn, and your physiology has to learn to be confident about one thing. You know, with me, I was confident in playing football. Okay, I was fast. I could do certain things. I was confident about that. I knew that in basketball, I could shoot a three-pointer. Okay, confident about that, but not confident about a host of other things. To be in a room full of executives, I remember when I had no confidence. So how do I work on that? You cannot, unless you're a world-class actor, you cannot walk into a place and all of a sudden pretend you're confident.
Be confident in one thing first.
So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history.
She switched
Their
it.
emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. Okay.
She completely switched it when he asked that question. What?
But I saw documents that were labeled under the classification top secret, and the compartmentalized, the compartment that was put into was called MAGIC, M-A-J-I-C, which told me that that UFOs are real, which I already knew. I'd seen one. Right. But this went farther than that. It told me that they were extraterrestrial in origin, that there were 4 different extraterrestrial species or races visiting this Earth. And that they had actually entered into an agreement with the United States government with one of these species of alien beings to exchange technology, and it told me all the projects that was underneath this. Project Red Light was actually the testing of extraterrestrial craft. Project Plato was a diplomatic project. Pounce was the recovery of technology. Pluto was the application of that technology to our own secret space program, not the public space program. 2 different space programs. One is what the public gets to see, which is overseen by NASA, and the other one is a secret space program that nobody gets to see, which is really overseen by the Navy Department under specialized, compartmentalized black projects.
I'm sure that. One for the public and one.
CIA declassified documents and said that there was a saucer flying over a bunch of Soviet soldiers. The Soviet soldiers shot at the saucer and it crashed. The beings emerged from the wreckage and turned all of the soldiers to stone except for 2 of them.
Whoa.
The CIA declassified these documents.
Where did this happen?
What you mean? You don't read.
You don't read, Al.
Typical.
Al, you don't read.
You know what that called? You know what kind of that's called?
What's that?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say in front of you.
You're scared.
Yep.
Scared.
Hold on.
Scared.
Hold on.
Scared.
CIA declassified. It's everywhere. You can pull up a website. Declassified Cold War era CIA files detail Soviet clash with aliens who witnesses say turned soldiers to stone. A declassified Cold War era file from the CIA has gone viral over its coverage of a supposed clash between Soviet soldiers and a UFO. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the CIA acquired a 250-page KGB report recounting the events that transpired after a platoon fired at a flying saucer over Ukraine. The report includes eyewitness accounts and pictures of the aftermath, which one American agent described as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. CIA released that and y'all don't give a fl.
Whoa. Do your own research.
One thing that I did learn that I could say is people think that these people are sitting in a penitentiary, and most of them are in orange farms. Like, they don't put them in the penitentiaries. They take them to a remote location, but the remote location is never disclosed to the media. And everybody thinks that these big drug lords are sitting in the federal penitentiaries. They're not.
What's the death penalty like?
A lot of them don't get the death penalty because they're too valuable. They're too valuable to the entire organization, and they're too valuable to entire investigation. So if they end up dead, it's because somebody ordered them to be killed.
Who was the last president to control the CIA?
No one had actual control over the CIA.
Ever?
Ever, because most of the time, with one pertinent, horrible example, presidents have gone along with the CIA. Of course, the one horrible, shocking, disgusting example is John F. Kennedy, who famously said that he would like to take the CIA and tear it into 1,000 pieces. And maybe those were his last words, in essence.
They not playing. They not playing, bruh.
The CIA just released a document saying that between 1989 and 1990, like 5 beings emerged from a spaceship, fused together, created one being that was in the spherical shape, created a buzzing sound, and then turned 23 Russian soldiers into stone. This is real, and I have a news report on it. Check this out.
Is it cosmic revenge or a tall tale straight out of science fiction? A CIA file about aliens attacking Soviet forces has gone viral, raising eyebrows and dropping jaws. Chief Transportation Correspondent and pilot May K. Beeler has the declassified report. It's got everyone talking.
I've never heard of this. Have y'all heard of this? This is crazy.
Whoa, you've got your hands on the file, May K.
Yeah, I got my hands on the file, and I can't believe we're talking about this. Times are changing.
Yeah. This is wild.
Times are changing. All right, it may sound fanciful and difficult to believe. You may think it's hogwash, while others believe it's possible. So
I want to let you know I got about halfway through this, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm making a video. So I've seen about a minute into this, and then we're all watching it together.
The CIA just posted on its website a single-page summary, there it is, of a hostile encounter between the Russian army and a flying saucer that is said to have occurred sometime between 1989 and 1990. So that's when, according to portions of an extensive 250-page KGB file featuring witness testimony and photographs, detail how 25 Soviet troops were practicing training drills when a, quote, low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer, unquote, flew above their base in Siberia. Now, the report states that for unknown reasons, the sighting prompted the men to launch a surface-to-air missile, bringing the craft down.
Bad idea.
Wow, this is crazy. So what, in this report, what does it allege the soldiers, what do they do with the aircraft?
I don't think it's what they did with the aircraft. It's what the aircraft or its occupants did with them. So yeah, this is what happened. According to the file, quote, 5 short humanoids with large heads, large black eyes emerged from the wreckage before fusing together into a single object, a spherical shape that emitted a buzzing sound. The report goes on to say the sphere burst into an explosion of white light, leaving 23 of the men, quote, turned into stone poles, unquote.
That's where I left off. So from here on out, I haven't seen, but stone poles, I didn't even catch that the first time. What does that even mean?
While the remaining 2 that apparently were shielded from the blast by being in the shade,
wow,
escaped unharmed. Now, the bodies of the victims and what was left of the UFO were recovered by the Red Army and taken to a research lab outside Moscow, where it was found that the molecular structure of the men was that of limestone.
Whoa. Whoa.
Okay.
That's like some biblical stuff.
Like Medusa type shit?
Right. That's
And imagine being the other two guys, seeing that and then just dipping out and having that burned into your brain, watching your buddies turn into apparently stone poles.
Limestone?
What timeline are we in? Is this is real? This is confirmed by the CIA, guys. This was literally dropped like today.
So the light that petrified them was a source of energy that officials say is not currently known to humanity.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
We literally said jaw-dropping at the top of the story. I'm sitting there going, what?
This is a CIA report. We're
Whoa.
not making it. This isn't a
Yeah.
tabloid, okay?
Okay. So this file that's now declassified by the
Right.
CIA. I mean, analysts that are looking at this. I mean, it does seem far-fetched, like this is some kind of sci-fi movie. I mean, what do they say about these details?
Right. So in the report, and according to the Independent that reported on the report, an unnamed CIA analyst is quoted as saying, quote, if the KGB file corresponds to reality, well, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess weapons and technology that go beyond all of our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves.
Of course.
If attacked. And an ex-CIA agent says if there was an incident, he suspects the actual report doesn't look much like what has come out decades later. You know, perhaps it's been embellished over time. Now, if somebody
So it
tried
could have
to
been worse.
attack you with a surface-to-air missile, would you retaliate?
I mean, how could you not?
Heck yeah!
I mean, yeah,
She's
you
making a case for the aliens. Okay.
would. This is crazy.
No, it's crazy.
I mean, I get it.
Turning into limestone, using
Yeah.
weapons and lasers that are not even earthly, that are out of this world, literally.
It was declassified in 2000, but just now put out on the CIA website.
Yeah.
If you wonder, why are we hearing so much more about UAPs and UFOs?
Because I told you there were hearings happening in D.C. and people are putting the pedal to the metal on our government to fucking disclose some shit.
There's an interesting reason for that. And if you watch my podcast on Queen City News
Oh,
Plus,
she'll break it for you.
We're not alone. You'll learn a lot.
Watch
Just
my
opening your
podcast.
mind with information.
Oh, what a nice tease. I have all the information, but I won't give it to you here because I actually care about your well-being and everything, but I only give it to you on my podcast.
Why now we're seeing more and hearing more.
Oh, it is
So tell
fascinating.
me. Tell me then, if you know the answer. Don't make me go get it.
Yeah, we don't have time to cover it all
Nope.
during our show.
Oh,
But
we're out of
again,
time.
it's free. Queen
Thanks,
City News
May-Kay.
Plus, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV. Just search Queen City News.
All right, well, there you go. Queen City News. Thank you for that one. Good God. What do you guys think? Hit me up in the comments. This is real news coming up from the CIA turning soldiers to stone. Where are we, man?
Yo, that is a crazy story.
This was your brother. And just so everybody knows, Mark wasn't part of anything that his brother was doing in this regard. He's never been connected to it. There's never been a suggestion. It's not about that. But Mark, you do not believe what the administration, the Trump administration, is putting out about your brother now. Why?
Well, every time they say something or do something to try to quash the fact that he was most likely murdered, they just put their foot further down their mouth. I mean, for instance, Kash Patel in the congressional hearing, he listed his credentials as a prosecutor and other such things, and he said that it was a suicide. He said, you know a suicide when you see it. That's basically what he said. So the questions that popped into my mind was, first of all, number one, how many suicides has he seen? Number one. Two, is he a forensic pathologist? Does he have a medical degree? Does he have a certificate that he passed a CPR course? Does he have a Boy Scout merit badge for first aid? What is he basing his expertise on? Contrast that to Dr. Roman, who was a city pathologist who did the autopsy. She came out of the autopsy and said she couldn't call it a suicide because it looked too much like a homicide. When Kash Patel came out with that statement, I laughed at how stupid it was.
Jeez.
What is the process to becoming an FBI agent?
For about every 10,000 applicants, one gets in. I put in the application, They run a background. If you clear the background, they do an interview process. You got to be in pretty decent shape. You got to be able to run 1.5 miles in a reasonable time. You got to do a reasonable amount of sit-ups and push-ups and pull-ups. But the interview process is really the most important thing. I want to see if who you are matches your resume. And then if you clear the interview, then you're there. It's pretty good pay. For federal law enforcement, the base that the FBI starts on is higher than Secret Service, DEA, any of the other federal agencies.
Okay.
Mental health.
Oh, snap.
FBI allegedly deleting Jeffrey Epstein records.
Yeah, you're not going to see this headline in the United States.
No, I had to go to Pakistan to get that headline. I had to find it in a Pakistani newspaper. FBI allegedly deleting Jeffrey Epstein records. I'm not going to show it because of the time. It's a clip from the Benny Johnson show, and he did an interview with the whistleblower. But I am going to put up on screen the X post by Michael Schellenberger. He said, FBI whistleblower confirmed to me that a source inside FBI said FBI employees were destroying evidence on servers and that he informed Kash Patel.
And in the Benny Johnson clip that we can't get to today, he specifically pointed out the Epstein files. So it wasn't just a general deletion of files, but specifically related to the Epstein
Gee, could it be related to Israel?
Oh.
What was the most interesting day of your career? When I say interesting, the day that you think about and go, Jesus, that was like awesome, or that was from a movie.
So I can give you a story, which I don't think I've shared. So because I didn't look like an agent, I would get pulled in for a lot of undercover stuff, which I loved. It was fun, scary, but because I never got pegged for an agent, like I always felt super safe. So I did this one thing where it was another undercover case where they came to me and we were working with NYPD. It wasn't my case, but they wanted me, there was this organized crime ring. I think they were Albanian, and they were selling passports, original passports and birth certificates to terrorists.
Whoa.
And so they're selling it to them to help them come into the US and to other people who are bad actors. So the agencies get wind of this, and they want to get these guys, this guy specifically with this organized crime ring. They're trying to figure out how to get in because they were so good at what they did, like you couldn't get them. So they wanted me to go in undercover and pretend to be someone who needed paperwork. So they're trying to figure out how do we do it. So the idea we came up with was I would be someone who had been trafficked from an Eastern Bloc country because I can pass for it. So I started talking on the phone. I was introduced him through another undercover and talking to him on the phone, and I had to develop an Eastern Bloc accent. I need my papers. They brought me here from, my country. Because when they traffic people in, the first thing they do when they lure you in is they'll take your paperwork from you. And you can't even get a cell phone here in the US without paperwork. So they take your stuff and then they put you either to do traffic, sex work or work in strip clubs or both till you pay off your debt for them bringing you to America. So I pretended to be one of those. So under that premise, I have no paperwork, so I can't get an apartment. I can't get anything. I'm at the mercy of these traffickers.
Wow.
Which, until I pay my dues, which you never do, by the way. They keep you locked in. And then they make them afraid and they tell them if you say anything, they're going to deport you back, which actually is not true. However, so I take on this role. I start talking to this guy. I need papers. Please, they take my papers. How much for new papers?
How do you learn this accent? Did you just go online?
I studied acting. And then plus my parents are immigrants. I grew up in New York and Queens, so I just picked them up. But I practice it. And I had to be good because if you're not good, you get a bullet to the head when you meet this guy. So you have to live in reality. Because my life is also on the line. And so I have these phone calls with him. He agrees, okay, I'll meet with you. So my first meeting is passport photos. I had to go get passport photos. I go meet him. And I remember when I met him at I think he did construction, was the outside thing he did. We meet him. I'm in like dress clothes. I'm dressing like as a very young woman, but I also had to put on sneakers because I'm like, hey, if this guy tries to do something, I need to be able to run. So I meet him, I bring my passport photos, I go to this location that's a front. Hi, I'm here to see, I don't remember the guy's name. They're like, oh no, he's not here. You'll have to wait for him. So they play with me for a little while. You know, everyone's watching me from the outside, but I have no wire on. And we debated whether I should have a wire or not, or a gun. And I chose to take nothing. So I've got nothing with me, which makes me more vulnerable. But my concern was if they put me through a metal detector or they checked me, that would be worse. Because now I'm in their home and like they'll just off me right off the bat. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. He finally comes. Then he tries to lure me into his car. And I had been briefed, whatever you do, you don't get into a car with this guy. So I don't get in the car. And I'm like, no, I don't get into a car. He's like, no, we need to talk private. Now I have eyes on me and I want to make sure the agents and everybody can see me. So there's this back and forth where I'm like, please, I'm afraid. I don't want to go into the car. He has passport photos. I give him, I think it was 5 G's. I give him an envelope of $5,000. Here's the $5,000. He's like, okay, come back in like 2 weeks. And he's like, maybe you'll get in my car. So I come back like 2 weeks later. Same story. I meet him. I get my passports. He gave me a Polish passport. I won't forget. It was a real, authentic Polish passport and a certificate, birth certificate, and all that. Then I'm like, the deal was, though, I needed more transactions with this guy because the more you get, the longer you can put them away. But he was so good, we couldn't get anything that we knew he had done. So I'm like, hey, I have more friends. Can I send you more girls? I'll bring you more girls. So he goes, oh, yeah. So then I start bringing him more girls.
Who are these girls?
Other undercovers. Other undercover female agents. And cops. We had NYPD play. And so we go in and we're doing this buying and selling transactions till we got enough to get the U.S. attorney to say, yes, we got him. And then they went in and they took him down. That was pretty interesting.
Were you scared at any point?
I was not. Because I always felt safe in that nobody, Stephen, ever thought I was a cop. Nobody ever thought I was an agent. I didn't look like one. I didn't speak like one. So I felt very safe.
Wow.
In the CIA remote viewing program, I was asked to check out claims of a psychic. She had set up thermistors, and from across the room, he could make the temperatures go up and down. I agreed to take a look at what he could do. I took this claimed psychic and said, okay, we're going to sort of do like your thermistor experiment you did. This is a superconducting environment, and inside is a very sensitive chip. So I want to see if you can affect it. He affected it 100%. You had a slow oscillation. What he did was he stopped the oscillation. Said, okay, wait a minute, no, I'm sure that was just some kind of glitch. I'm sure you can't do it again. And so he did it again. When we asked him, how'd you know what to do? And he said, well, all I did was look inside. And then he drew out how things were related inside that had never been published. And it turned out that they were accurate. And so it was when I wrote all that up and circulated around, that's when the CIA came knocking at my doorstep.
Yeah, they not playing that with you, boy.
Do you believe the official storyline of how JFK was killed?
Absolutely not. For starters, have you read the book The Secret Team by Fletcher Prouty? Oh, I would recommend that book to everybody. Fletcher Prouty had high-level access in Department of Defense and CIA tickets, but they forgot to get him to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Ooh.
So when he saw all this, how they played all these things, he came out and he wrote The Secret Team.
Whoa.
And in The Secret Team is his witness account of the JFK assassination. And there was a well-known CIA operator from Vietnam up until that point named Edward Lansdale. And there's a photograph of the 3 mysterious men being walked by the sheriff in front of the book depository. And walking by them, as one of them smiled, was Edward Lansdale, well-known CIA operative. And Prouty worked with him. He knew what he looked from behind. He knew about the ring on his finger, and he identified Lansdale as a CIA operative. George Bush made this mysterious phone call that day, claiming that he was in Dallas. Bush, longtime CIA operative, although he tried to deny it. When he was president, CIA in the White House, aka Iran-Contra, and then they promoted him. He was in Dallas, Texas, and phoning in a fake phone call that day. Oswald, without question, had been recruited by the CIA, sent over to Russia to try to be a double agent, and came back. Was he the only shooter? Absolutely not.
Whoa, bro.
You're confident that happened?
Whenever I would go to the US, I would have 2 FBI agents greeting me at the airport, asking questions. One time I was having my breakfast and the FBI showed up at my house that I was renting, and that was quite surprising. They were interested to learn more about Telegram. They knew I left Russia. They knew what we were doing, but they wanted details. My understanding is that they wanted to establish a relationship to, in a way, control Telegram better. I understand they were doing their job. It's just that for us running a privacy-focused social media platform, that probably wasn't the best environment to be. And we want to be focused on what we do, not on government relations of that sort.
Yeah, they're not playing with you.
How many people of these CIA officers have to kill?
The average CIA officer will almost never find himself in a position where he has to kill somebody. I mean, you know, we had a situation back in the 90s where one of our case officers had recruited a third country national. And one of the analysts at headquarters says, whoever this source is, his information's really good. Can I come out and debrief him? When they walked into the room, the source pulled out a gun and shot the case officer, tried to shoot the analyst and missed. It turned out this source was actually an officer in that enemy country's intelligence service. The officer should have been armed. He wasn't, because he thought he could trust the source.
Wow.
And in a situation like that, he ought to have had a moment to pull out his weapon. The analyst saved the case officer's life by staunching the bleeding. But it was a setup from the beginning.
Together. So in the authorities' mind, they feel like Puff knew what Meech was doing. Then with the introduction to Jacob and different people, and a lot of people going to jail for money laundering and stuff like that, Puff being, and this is documented, Puff being a CI for an FBI agent. I said this years ago, that Kim and Kirk Burroughs took some paperwork. They was taking some papers up to the FBI, so like when they was here in New York. They was taking paperwork up there and stuff like that. Don't know what it was, but later on found out that he was a CI.
Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, fuck you. Because you can't shoot nobody anyway, and the reason why you got talks is because you did a deal, you fucking fed. You know what I'm saying? That's why you gotta come at me, because part of the
CI. You understand? Now, what happens? He don't have that. The guy probably, that was 20, 30 years, 20 some years ago. The guy probably retired. Puff ain't dealing with him, no, he didn't pass Puff on or something like that. So now, Puff been dodging the legal system. With the, people had it wrong. They think it was with the Black Mafia family. No, it was with Butt Naked. I said this years ago. The person that he said is his senior advisor, Corey Jacobs. Corey had 9 16-to-life sentences.
Dang.
For drug trafficking. You make him your senior advisor, even though that was your man, he coming home. That's your man, pots and pans. But Wook was the one who took care of them when they was away. You know what I'm saying? Wook was the one who took care of them. So now, you got all these, you know, these characters, you know, around you. What they gonna think when they come to your house?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're sitting down this Sunday afternoon. I've got some interesting news to share with you guys. Breaking multiple sources, breaking the Justice Department and the FBI have concluded that they have no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful figures or even kept a client list or that he was murdered. He apparently committed suicide while the security cameras were not working and the 2 security guards took a nap. That's what's being reported. So the story just broke over on Axios. Says exclusive DOJ FBI conclude that Epstein just simply had no client list. It's all made up. And he did not kill himself, committed suicide. Goes on to say here, President Trump's Justice Department and FBI have concluded, this is after mountains of evidence. Remember when they were talking about how, that there were truckloads that just came in of new Epstein evidence? Well, they've gone through every piece of paper, and it says here that they have concluded they have no evidence that convicted offender and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful figures, or that he kept a client list, or that he was murdered, according to a memo detailing the finding obtained by Axios. The administration is releasing a video in both raw and enhanced versions that it says indicates that no one entered the area of the Manhattan prison where Epstein was held the night that he died in 2019. Those memos are now out there. Everyone's sharing them. Everyone's sharing the news. And yeah, you have people like Dan Bongino that for years on his podcast said that this was the biggest scandal potentially ever, maybe since JFK's assassination. And so, yeah, I don't shoot the messenger here, folks, but that's what this administration is saying. That is what Dan Bongino, that is what Kash Patel, these are the people that, were saying that once they saw the evidence and once they were put into these positions of power, that they would thoroughly investigate on behalf of the American people and put these clients behind bars and find out just exactly who, what government or what agency or what have you, what intelligence was helping Epstein basically blackmail American politicians. And it turns out
there's nothing.
That doesn't exist. It was all made up. By who knows? And for what purposes? Maybe clicks and views. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this story. Eager to read your comments down below.
Thoughts below. Thoughts.
The FBI called me. I was sitting at my computer one morning writing an op-ed, and the FBI called me, and I looked at my phone and it said Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Whoa.
And I thought, what in the world is that? So I answered it. I said, hi, this is John. May I help you? And he says, hi, this is Special Agent, I forget what. Do you remember that case that you helped us out with when you were on Capitol Hill? Because remember, I didn't know that this Japanese guy was an FBI agent yet. I said, sure.
This is so freaking bonkers. Yeah.
And he said, well, we have another case and we need your help. And I said, because I'm an idiot and a patriot, I said, anything for the FBI. What do you want from me? That's what I told him. He said, can you come down here tomorrow at 10? I said, absolutely. So I went at 10 o'clock and I said, what do you want me to do? I said,
was this to the FBI building downtown?
Yes. I said, is it what, the Russians? Who is it? Well, before we get to that, he says, wanted to ask you, I just read your book, which was a lie. I had a book that had come out 2 years earlier. I just read your book and I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And it was all about the torture program. And I'm getting more and more nervous. And finally...
What were the questions?
Well, when you were in Pakistan and you were describing this piece of technology, did you get that cleared by the CIA?
Oh.
I said, of course I got it cleared. I said, it took me 9 months to write that book and 22 months to get it cleared at the CIA's Publications Review Board. Well, what about this guy? You mentioned this guy. Do you remember? You just say John Doe. Do you remember his name? I'm like, yeah, I remember his name. And then I said, what are we talking about here? And then one of them said, well, we probably should tell you that as we're speaking right now, we're raiding your house. We're confiscating all of your electronics.
Whoa.
And
holy shit,
you're going to be charged with a lot of crimes.
What?
That's what he said. And thank God.
Wait, as you were talking, they were raiding your house?
Mm-hmm. My wife later told me that as soon as I got on the metro to go to the FBI, they just broke down the door.
Was she home?
With our 2-month-old son.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then one of the female FBI agents.
Drain the swamp is not strong enough.
No,
Burn it down.
Burn it down. Burn it down.
Yes.
This is neither here nor there because my opinion is not important. But when Kash Patel was named the director of the FBI, I wrote an op-ed in for a leftist news outlet celebrating this appointment, saying this is exactly what we need to do. We need to tear the place down to its studs. If there's going to be a federal law enforcement organization, this one needs to be scrapped and rebuilt, and nobody else has the guts to do it.
Yeah. Let's build them in headquarters, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Kansas, maybe.
Yeah, at Leavenworth.
Oh, excuse me. One final sentence. I thank God that I had the presence of mind to say, I want to speak to my attorney, and I'm not saying anything else. And that was the only reason they didn't put the cuffs on me right there. Ooh. So I said, I want to leave. And I got up and they said, just a minute. I said, no, if I'm not under arrest, that means I'm free to leave. And as I walked out, Peter Strzok was standing there And he said, did he implicate himself? And the guy says, not really, but I'll tell you about it in a second. And he turned to me and he said, you're free to go.
Whoa, they not told you they not playing, bro.
Edgar Hoover, the founder of the FBI, he was compromised from somewhere in the 30s and 40s when photos were acquired by Meyer Lansky and the mob, and then obviously shared with the mafia and all that.
He was cross-dressing.
Yeah, mob and the mafia. He was a cross-dresser that liked boys, and particularly his gay lover, Clyde Tolson, who was his second in command, and it was an open secret in the world of the FBI and beyond. But then he started to be blackmailed by organized crime, mob and mafia. And then he started throwing these cross-dressing parties at the Blue Suite in the Plaza Hotel and possibly other places. We don't know. That's just one of the most documented cases. And so he was throwing these blackmail parties where he was collecting blackmail on everyone else because he was fucking super paranoid and super blackmail-y. But they were all getting blackmail on him the whole time too. And so it was this like blackmail alliance between the FBI, which is the law enforcement organization that is designed to go after the mob and the mafia, and he's working with them from that day forwards, basically. And you kind of wonder why suddenly the mob and the mafia go from like, I mean, Prohibition really helped because there are a bunch of little gangs, and then suddenly like all these gangs that are running like just running clubs and all this stuff make liquor illegal, and they suddenly become an international crime syndicate.
It was a gold rush,
globalizes,
dude.
Right?
Yes.
They get super fucking rich, and then they get blackmail on the FBI, which is supposed to be policing them, and then they just go ham through the whole. And that's where we get all these mafia movies, all these mobsters, right? All these Tommy guns.
That's how we get
that
skyline.
New York City. That's how we get Las Vegas, right? That's how we get Hollywood and the music industry in a lot of senses. All that money just flowed into forming this modern American system, and to this day, I would argue it is still there. But so the FBI was deeply corrupt already and in bed with the mob and the mafia. But then when the CIA was founded, one of their first operations, because CIA, and ideally they were supposed to just be providing a newspaper of information. That was sort of like the first, ask. But what Dulles always wanted was covert operations, the ability to go overthrow governments on behalf of his corporate buddies, for example.
Yes.
And one of their first operations was in Italy, because Italy was, Mussolini and World War II. Italy, not to mention it's the seat of the Vatican, the seat of Catholicism, the seat of this Western ideal.
This dude going in, huh?
MKUltra was a goal to try and get people to understand mind control. I would say that we never mastered mind control in the way that MKUltra set out for us to do, but we have very much learned the process of mastering persuasion, mastering influence, which is all a form of mind control, right? And we do it without drugs. We do it without anything except for mastering deliberate social skills, right? Understanding how the human mind works, understanding the cognitive processes, being able to put deliberate elements in place that steer a person's thinking and get them to land on a specific outcome. That is what we want them to deliver. So you're doing it right now. I don't know if you've thought of that. Every interview that you have, you are using some of those skills, right? So just as a real quick exercise, right?
Okay.
What's your name?
My name's Danny.
Danny, where were you born?
I was born in Clearwater.
Clearwater, Florida?
Yes.
That's an awesome town.
Yeah.
Did you learn to love the beach growing up in that town, or do you not love the beach because you grew up in that town?
No, I've always just I love the beach and the water.
You love the beach. Are you a water person? Do you do stuff on the water?
Absolutely, all the time.
Like what?
Fish, surf, swim, dive, everything.
So who's in control of this conversation?
You are.
I am. Why?
The questions.
Because you're steering it. You're guiding me with the questions.
What do you do every time you have a podcast interview?
Sort of, the same thing.
The exact same thing, man. That's a form of cognitive control.
Simple, effective.
First lessons that you get at CIA, one of the first lessons they tell you is that there's a strong connection, an empirical connection between childhood trauma and high achievement. The science is out there. I've looked it up on my own. The connection is extraordinary. That people who experience the right amount of childhood trauma, the right amount being enough that you had to prove something,
right,
but not so much that you had to adopt external coping mechanisms.
Right.
Whoa. Well, so like drugs.
Correct.
Right.
Drugs, addictions to pornography, substance abuse, submitting yourself to the authority of others, right? There's a certain amount of trauma, that's the right amount of trauma, that turns you into this high achiever. You always have to win something because you're trying to win favor, win attention, win rewards, win glory, win something. So you're always achieving, you're always driving yourself towards something, But it's not because you were born with drive. It's because some part of your childhood, those formative years, taught you that by achieving, you will be rewarded.
That was really good. That was really good.
By the CIA.
Well, before we say Hollywood was created by the CIA, I guess I should clarify because, you know, first off, you guys do know that the Pentagon has a budget for film. Like there's a whole department in the Pentagon.
Know that.
That's a fact. There you go. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
There's an entire department in the Pentagon. They get involved with films, and they get involved with films for the purpose of propaganda. They always have.
Hit certain people, and this was before we called things promotion and marketing. You know what I mean? That's Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that that happens, but propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
What movies have
I
they
should have
produced?
said Pentagon instead of CIA. Tons of them. I should show you the list. You should pull it up. It's
Google it right now.
wild. Yeah,
Absolutely,
Pentagon
please.
Department for Hollywood. Tons of them.
I have to
Even
report this.
Transformers. Even Transformers, like, you know, because they're
Transformers.
concerned about certain narratives. They get involved with, like, World War films, like, how are we telling a story about history? Usually it's because we're lying about what we did or trying not to make Americans aware of the crimes against humanity that we
Wow.
commit overseas, you know?
Yeah, the Pentagon just funded some films. Black Hawk Down, Red Dawn, GoldenEye.
The more you know. So now you understand your experience in theaters is what your government wants you to think. They want you to think that this is how things happen, and it's usually not at all how things have actually happened.
6 of the best movies made with help from the Department of Defense. This is military.
Yeah.
Control.
Before he was the Unabomber who mailed explosive packages to corporate executives and academic professors, Ted Kaczynski was a test subject in the CIA's MKUltra mind control experiments.
Really?
Kaczynski entered Harvard University as a 16-year-old on a mathematics scholarship, after skipping 6th and 11th grade. It was at Harvard where he was subjected to an experiment run by psychologist Henry A. Murray that was backed by the Central Intelligence Agency. Murray's experiments put subjects under mock interrogations with blinding spotlights and verbal abuse. The Harvard study also involved asking the participants to write essays explaining their worldviews, which were then picked apart by interrogators, according to the History Channel, which cited Murray's description of the sessions as sweeping and personally abusive. CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of many files related to MKUltra in 1973, and to this day, questions remain about the extent to which Kaczynski was affected by the experiment. He developed a strong anti-technology and anti-industrial worldview and went on to kill 3 people and injure 23 more.
Whoa.
Become a member on Patreon and help to report corruption in the ruling class.
Whoa.
The CIA wanted to take control of people's minds, and they realized it was a two-part process. First, you need to blast away the existing mind, and second, you need to find a way to insert a new mind into the resulting void. This is what's known as Project MKUltra, the most sustained search in history for techniques of mind control. After World War II, the tension between the two emerging superpowers, the US and the then Soviet Union, was at an all-time high. The threat of nuclear war was hanging over everyone's head, and ultimately the end of civilization. Technological progress didn't stop at the atom bomb, and both sides were continuing to invent bigger and badder weapons. But what both sides knew is that the most dangerous weapon was information, and the US became increasingly concerned that the Soviets had discovered a drug or technique that would allow them to control human minds. In response, the CIA began its own secret program to search for a mind control weapon they could use against their enemies. The experiments were covertly funded at universities and research centers, as well as American prisons and detention centers in Japan, Germany, and the Philippines, and the subjects endured procedures including electroshock and high doses of hallucinogens. Going back to the two-part process of mind control, it said they were extremely successful at blasting away the existing mind, but they didn't get too far on replacing it. In the 1960s, Project MKUltra was shut down, and due to its top secret nature, we will never know just how many people were affected by it. That is all for this video, but as always, if this interested you and you want to see more like it, I'd really appreciate it if you click the plus. Thank you.
Man, they can take it, but they can't put nothing in there.
Yeah, there's this big thing about the CIA inventing the FBI. The FBI, well, inventing the term conspiracy theory was a CIA thing.
I think it was the CIA.
Yeah.
Really?
And this was a couple of years after the assassination. There was a memo that went out where they were concerned about all these conspiracy theories that were coming out. And they used the term conspiracy theories, and then they said they should try to basically debunk them and make the people who spread them around look like conspiracy theorists, basically.
It's funny.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed. And my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Thoughts in the comments. Wow. They built up.
You walk through life like seeing people, be honest, as kind of puppets.
Not puppets, no. Not puppets. I do walk through life seeing people as worthy or unworthy investments.
Interesting.
Where, because especially like, it's to kind of bring it full circle back to losing my grandmother. We only have a certain number of minutes, seconds,
right,
breaths. So I feel like I was blessed and privileged to get the skills to rapidly identify the people who are worth my breath. The people.
That is so good. That is so good. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Being able to discern, is this person worth an investment or not? If you just think about it, right? You look back through your life, right? It was a lot of people that wasn't deserving of your investment. And if you was able to identify that early, you would have been able to maneuver a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Life would look a lot different. You know what I'm saying? Having that skill and that ability, that is amazing. I love that. Are they worth my investment or are they not? Plain and simple.
Who I can invest in with my words and my thoughts and my actions and my time. And those people will create an ROI that doesn't pay me back, but pays back my children and my children's children. Because the people who learn and who apply and who support the work that I'm doing are the people who will make the future, the world of tomorrow. And the world of tomorrow is not for me. The world of tomorrow is for my family. So I feel like, unfortunately, that is what a lot of my relationships boil down to. And the people that I...
Transactional.
But all relationships are transactional.
Right.
We just don't like to admit it.
Right.
For me, I feel like because I already know all relationships are transactional, I now cultivate the transactions that yield the most.
Right.
Rather than transactions that just happen, where so many people are trapped in relationships where they don't have any return on investment from that relationship. Or
hey, he going in. This guy right here, wake it up. Wake it up.
Or even worse, they keep investing in the relationship and it's a money pit. It just keeps taking and taking and it never gives back. And they don't know how to get out of that relationship, or they feel trapped, or they feel lost, or they feel abandoned. If I had to pick between being somebody who literally looks at everybody as a win or lose transaction, or being a person who's constantly investing in the wrong person, I'm very happy to be where I'm at on this fence.
William Casey, CIA director. Mr. President, we have intelligence that would indicate this one species of aliens have abducted people from Earth. They have performed scientific and medical tests on these humans. To the best of our knowledge, no humans have been killed, but as advisor number 1 stated, the intelligence is from witnesses and we haven't thoroughly evaluated this intelligence. We have captured one of these hostile aliens. This gets into some very, very sensitive areas, Mr. President. I strongly suggest we end this discussion and move on to any further questions that you might have and then get back to this.
Whoa.
I don't think we are prepared to provide you with accurate answers to your questions about the potentially hostile aliens at this time, close quote. And that was March 6 to 8, 1981. President Reagan said, okay, but expect this to be given to me as soon as possible. I want to know everything about these hostile creatures. So, I mean, we should start forming policies on how to deal with them.
Yeah, okay.
The CIA, they really love it when a new president is elected and he has no background in intelligence or foreign policy. Barack Obama, no experience in foreign policy, no experience in intelligence. The day after an election, the director of the CIA authorizes a president-elect to begin receiving a PDB, a President's Daily Brief. And so the day after the election, they go with this 16-page document and they say, Mr. President-elect, wait till you see the cool things we're doing all around the world. And they've sucked him in. They made him one of the guys. And then we get the feedback at the CIA. Oh, the president loved this. The president had a follow-up question on that. Oh, the president said, oh my God, when he read this.
Well, it almost sounds like you're psychologically profiling the president.
Oh, I think that's exactly what they do.
And so they use the tools that they have employed for decades to subvert foreign governments to subvert their own government?
Wake it up. I'm up now. I'm up.
You think it was a real shooter?
I think it was a real shooter. I absolutely think it was a real shooter. If you wanted to stage an attempted assassination, you would never shoot at the person who was the principal, the primary target that you're trying to support, right? So Donald Trump was the principal. If I was trying to stage an assassination to win him popular praise, I would not shoot at him because the risk is too great that the shot would either miss and hit him, possibly hit him fatally, or it would miss him and hit someone in the audience, and then a rally member dies, and now we have to account for why somebody at the rally died. Like, people were killed and people were hurt at the Donald Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. If you wanted to stage an assassination, you would shoot 35, 40 degrees off target, well away from anybody accidentally getting hit, because what's going to happen? Everybody's going to hear the gunshots. So the gunshots will still cause the panic. The Secret Service would still jump in. They'd still cover him. There'd still be all the same newsworthiness without the risk of killing somebody. And if you really, really wanted to make it like it made headlines, you could even potentially stage some kind of cut that's covered up with a small skin-colored Band-Aid so that when the shots go off, you can wipe off or pull off the Band-Aid and then there's going to be active red spots. You would never actually shoot at the principal. What people don't understand about conspiracies is that when you actually plan to carry out a covert action, you plan to carry out the covert action in the safest possible way. You don't run the risk of actually shooting the principal.
All right, guys, that was another TikTok video. Hey, man, that woke me up right there. That woke me up. If you made it this far, you're a real one for real. Make sure you put that in the comments. Also, we hitting 1,000 likes on this video. I ain't forgot. That was crazy. A lot of the CIA, FBI, behind the scenes, alien, Soviet Union war stuff. It's a lot going on, man. And them people not playing with nobody. You feel me? So, till next time, self-love and positivity. Fire Squad, I got you and you know it.